Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to show you guys the delivery and export tab inside of DaVinci Resolve, and I'm just going to try to make this as simple as possible. It's not as complex as it looks. I promise it's not so daunting. And if you just play around with it, you can customize your settings. But if you have any questions along the way, just leave them in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them, and also hit that like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So let's jump right in. So for me, I hit reset UI layout. This just allows it to be basically as close to you as possible. So this is what your screen should look like, the same as mine. So now you can follow along. To make this quick, everything that you need to know as far as your delivery page is literally on this left side. You don't have to click tape. You don't have to click anything else that you have up here, clips, whatnot. You can leave all the same and just follow strictly along. So at the very, very top of the thing, you have your custom export. This is where you can name your file. You can also choose location. So if I press browse, it'll pull up my icons where I can select wherever I need to place it within my MacBook Pro. So that's it. If you have a Windows machine, it'll pull up the My folder and it'll show you everything on there too. But irregardless, that's where it is. You have underneath you have your render, which is your single clip and individual clips. So as single clip, your entire video is posted as one whole clip, which is what you need it to be. Do not hit individual, because individual will splice up your video into multiple clips. And if I scroll out, you kind of see that my icon has changed to gold instead of white, so it lets me know the difference of it. But it will basically pop it out in different forms. Leave it on single clip. That's the easiest setting. For video, you want to make sure this is checkmarked. If you do not have export video, it will only export the audio. So pay attention to this. You may hit your reset UI, it may not be working, or you're like, hey, I pumped it out but I just got a blank space. This is it. Make sure export video is on, and also double check and make sure audio export is on. Over here, have your file. You can change your custom name and all stuff. Honestly, never ever touch this. If you're very, very new, don't touch it, I would say. If you want to get more advanced and do different things, you can add in a bunch of stuff, but truthfully, leave these two alone. Just double check, make sure you have export video, and make sure you have export audio. So some of the things that I will show you is mostly dealing with the video side of it, and you can get crazy in the audio, but let's jump into video first. In video, for me, it starts off typically with the QuickTime, and that's just because I have a MacBook Pro. When I was editing on my gaming rig, it actually showed up MP4, I believe, if I have it correct. QuickTime is mostly for MacBooks, and it works on YouTube and certain platforms, but not everything really accepts QuickTime. If you ever try to play a video on YouTube or try to play a video on your game machine, if you have a Windows machine, basically, it will say like this, you don't have a QuickTime player. Again, leave it on MP4. This is the easiest setting. Everything reads it. There's nothing that should not be able to read MP4. Down here, you have your codec, which is your 8.264. You can choose between that and 265. The only difference, y'all, is literally compression. So if you want to have your video in a smaller file size, use H.265. If you want to leave it at the best quality, or you don't really care about the file size, leave it at H.264. It is a pretty big difference in terms of not just the file size, but also the quality sometimes, especially with images. If you're trying to zoom in, 265 can really reduce it, and 4K may look closer to like 2K. It gets kind of ugly, so I just leave mine at 2.64. But if you're running low hard drive space, punch it to H.265. It'll make a big difference. And you can use your hardware acceleration if available, which just means it will use the most of your PC to render when it needs to render. And also you can do network optimization, which gives it, better settings and codecs to work better when it's broadcasted online. Down here you have your timeline resolution. I'm actually editing in 3080 by 40 or 3040 and 2160, which is just 4K in layman's terms. But you can choose your timeline resolution, which will be set to whatever it is. If you don't know how to set your timeline resolution, just go back to your timeline, go right here, right click it, click timeline settings, and in here you can choose from like 4K. If you have 4K footage, it will be set to that, or you can choose the 1080, but I will leave mine in 4K for this sake. One note though, if your timeline is set to 1080 and then you go to your deliver page and you export it as 4K, the 3080 by or 3840 by 2160, it will do what's called upscaling. So your quality may start to degrade because it's trying to re-image it literally 4 times larger the size. That's what 4K is. It's not like just quality, but the picture's actually larger. So you will lose your quality because it's like stretching it. If you have your footage that's already in 4K, make sure you have it in a 4K timeline and just export it. Now you can downscale to 1080p. It will be sharper because it's converting that image to a smaller space, but I wouldn't really recommend it. YouTube tends to loves the 4K a little bit better. Down here you have your timeline frame rate. You can choose for me I have it set to 59.4. If I did have my frame rate not locked, I can kind of choose different range, but I've actually set mine. If I go back to here, let's go to timeline settings. So I have my timeline locked to 59.4, but if I chose to create a new timeline from scratch, let me just create a new timeline, and I uncheck the product settings, I can change my format and select different frame rates as I please. So that's just kind of a side note right there. Down here you have your quality. So this can be set to restrict to X amount of kilobytes or automatic. So for me, I leave it at 8,000 kilobytes typically. Obviously, when I reset my UI, it went up to 10K. It just 10 kilobytes per second, which adds up relatively quickly depending on how long your video is. If you leave it automatic, you don't have to worry about it. DaVinci Resolve will automatically try to export in the best quality settings that's good for video quality, but also fast for your machine. So automatic, it kind of looks at the whole shebang and makes it into one. You can choose your you can choose your encoding profile, your encrypted modes, things like that. Leave these to the same. Don't touch these unless you really know what you're doing. You don't have to worry about the keyframes, anything like that. Just all of this right here for quality wise, leave it the same unless you really want to restrict it and you want to change some different things. But if you don't know what you're doing, leave it on automatic. Down here you have your settings. So the pixel aspect ratio is set to square, data levels are set to audio. You can leave all of this the same too. Bypass it, like don't worry about it. If you do have subtitles, I don't have any on this video, make sure that you click export subtitle or else your subtitles will not export with the video. You can choose to export them as a separate file, which I made on a video previously on YouTube. I would prefer doing this for YouTube because you can then link those files inside of YouTube. Or you can choose to embed the captions, which will be embedded inside the video, or you can do burn into. If you do burn into, it would actually put your subtitles over the video itself. But that's just kind of it. I'm going to switch this off. And down here you have YouTube settings. So if you did not know, you don't have to use this mode particularly, but I am actually signed into my YouTube account right here. The way to do that is go back up to the top in DaVinci Resolve and go to your preferences. And you want to make sure that you have it selected on internet accounts. Right here, you can choose to sign in to any account. If you have TikTok, you can publish directly to TikTok. Vimeo is the same way, Dropbox same way, Frame.io. You can publish directly to your YouTube channel. Now, this is cool because you can have it automatically in there. You can set the privacy to like your to just private if you choose to. If I select this, I can actually change different things. I can upload a thumbnail automatically to my video, which is really, really great. The only problem is when I tried the chapters for markers, sometimes it didn't do the chapters right. So on mine, I call them timestamps. I have timestamps on the video to kind of help you get through it, and you can sift through. If you ever come back to watch my videos over and over again, you don't have to watch the entire thing to find it. I get people make money and want to make all of you. I'm trying to make it convenient for you guys. If I get paid, cool, that's great. But sometimes the chapters does not work. So this is a okay thing. Don't get used to it. Double check your videos on YouTube itself. You can change your privacy to public, unlisted. You can't do scheduled. It would be cool if you could do scheduled from here, but it doesn't have complete access to YouTube, I guess. And of course, you can choose your categories. So for me, I'm posting typically with film and animation. I have mine set to this. If you do entertainment, music, you have different categories for that too. It will post it. You can't add like your tags or anything like that, but you can get pretty close. And if you did not know at the top, so this is pretty much it for the custom export. If you didn't know at the very, very top, you actually change from your H.264, H.265. You can change it to ProRes, which is familiar with Apple and a lot of other film projects. If you're trying to transcode the projects to, let's say, Avid or somewhere else, you can do that inside of ProRes HQ, which is 422 HQ, which is actually really good quality. You can also select your social media platform. So this will give you a little bit more settings centered towards it. If you don't know what to do with the custom export, YouTube is probably the easiest, and you don't have to upload to YouTube. You don't have to do that at all. You can choose to unselect this and it will not post to YouTube, But if you want the minimalist amount of settings, if you just want to edit, keep it super easy, just click the YouTube and you can still do the same thing. You can name your files, you can choose location where you're saving it, you can change the resolutions. All this is right here. It will have your frame rates per second, and it will automatically be set to MP4 with H.264. So everything will work totally fine. I have looked at these settings. You should have zero issues when it comes to posting, at least for YouTube's sake, on YouTube. This is on average about the best settings. You don't have control of like how many kilobytes you want to put to, or different technical things. But if you just want to kind of get used to it, you can already have your title in here, you can have your description, you can choose your chapter, you can upload your thumbnail. Everything is all right here. Just make sure this is checked. Same thing for Vimeo. You can upload directly to Vimeo. I don't have mine linked, but you could do that. TikTok is the exact same way. If I scroll over down here, you have your presentations, which I think is more of a Microsoft thing. I'm not sure. Oh no, it's Blackmagic Cloud. Okay, well, I guess that's cool. Yeah, Replay, you have IMF, you have Final Cut, Premiere XL. Oh my gosh, I do not like the XL file types, but you can export to them. But as you see, it is kind of friendly to a lot of other competitors. Avid, Pro Tools, you can just do audio only. This almost looks like Sony Assets logo, but that is pretty much it for this custom tab. So if you have any questions, of course, let me know. I will show a little bit more different things. Everything else before this, you should be good. If you run into any technical issues, I will show you this now. So on the page right here, you have a couple different settings. You can choose how you want to look at it. You can prefer the camera's original. You can prefer to use proxies to view it. You can disable all proxies. For me, I leave this for original. If you go down here, you can choose to have your time code on. So if I turn that off, I won't see the time code at the top. If I turn it on, I will see time code, which is just this right here, the in and out. You can also choose to do your marker overlays. I don't have any markers set, but if I did press M, let me go back to this. Let's just put M. See, that's a marker overlay. That's what that would be. Let me go back to deliver. I can turn it off as well too. Whenever you typed your video up and you have all your render settings, you can just press add to render queue. Let's title this test. So, and I'll just press save. So once you finish going through all of your settings, make sure you have your name listed, everything, your location saved. Just press add to render queue. This will put it on the queue. So the queue is actually the place where it renders different tabs. I will actually press render all, and this will render everything that's inside of here. Now, if I had, let's say, another video, let me do, let's type in, I don't know, test to test. If I do render 2, now if you notice, I can choose to render just one video. If I click inside the mainframe, I can render 2 videos. So if I had, let's say, 2 different timelines, 2 different videos I want to export, I can render both of those at the same time. Or if I just want to, if I don't like this export and I want to get this one, I can press render 1. So I have to make sure it's selected. If it's not, it will say render all, select it, render 1. I can also choose to go back in and edit. So if I type this, I can edit the different ones. It will pull up the name. And I can also choose to hit the X. So that's it as far as the rendering goes. So for the next stuff, I will show you guys a little bit of different things that's inside of DaVinci for those that do want to learn more about the technical stuff. You don't have to do this, but this is just something to keep in mind if you're trying to understand this space. So over here at the very top, you have where it's fit to screen. If I do it at 6, it will be very, very small. If I do it up to 200, it will be very, very large. If I do actual size at 100, but fit is fit to screen. So you can press the Z command if you're doing that. Let's say I want to go to this, I press Z. Now I do fit to screen. If I have my time code over here, this time code is just right at the very, very top. This is your in and this is your out. If I scroll through, it may not show it, but if I'm playing it, so my time code shows my in and out, so it shows my video is 3 minutes and 53 seconds based upon what I've processed right here, and it shows my duration. I can actually choose to set this off. It would get rid of that so I could just see my screen playback. I can also choose to show marker overlays. So with marker overlays, I actually have a marker right here, and it will show the marker. It will show this is time stamped at 8 seconds, and this will have my marker 1. If I name the marker, I can change that, but this is all right here. If you want to make your render queue larger because you have more renders, you can actually hit this little arrow at the very, very top. You also have a little icon down here where you can show all different projects. You can refresh it. You can show your jobs. So you have an icon right here. I just click the show all projects. It will take a while to load in, but this will show all of the projects that I've rendered, even the ones that I didn't render. Like you see, this job was canceled. It will show everything on here. I believe if I click this, I can actually go through all of my projects. This is kind of cool. And you can re-render this project. It's insane. Notice I haven't booted up anything else. I'm actually working on the delivery export video right now, but I can choose to export the barbecue grill stock footage that I made years ago. It's just really, really neat. You can actually choose to refresh the tab if you want to. If it feels like it's glitching, you can clear your rendered. You can do clear all. This will clear it out the render queue. But this is just kind of a local layout. So let's say I have renders in here. Let's just put 2 different ones. And I want to clear out the space just because I want to keep it organized. You can actually go up to the top right here and click clear all. This will do that. You can also choose to click clear rendered. So if you rendered the video, you don't need it again, you can do that as well. At the very top in the middle, you have your final and timeline. These are just the names of my timelines. If you don't believe me, I can show you this right here. But I have my 2 timelines. Let me go back to timeline 1, which has my logo in here, as well as my actual video. So if I go back to deliver, I can see that I can select different timelines. So if I want to do the just the final, I can do that one. If I want to click the timeline video and render this out, which is really just a thumbnail, I can do that as well too. If I want to create additional video outputs, you can click this. If you want to save it as a new preset. So if you love your settings over here and you're like, hey, I like to use this all the time, I can actually save a preset and choose whatever preset I would like to produce. And the last little things, if you ever want to use them, I don't know why you would, but it's kind of cool if you just like to clean up your space. At the very top, you have like your timeline stamp where you can kind of stretch it out a little bit clearer. If you have this checked and this checked, obviously it'd be very, very small with your render queue, but if you want to clean up your space and just make this smaller and watch through, you can do that. And the very, very last thing, if you ever wanted to, sometimes I forget my screens are on, but you can use it on and off. So you can choose to have this set to video clean feed, and you can kind of watch your render out in real time. So if you do render it, and let's say you forgot to take out a clip or subtitles, you can it won't show you everything smoothly as it renders, but you'll see kind of in different frames if everything comes out well. Sometimes as I play through, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to put this really quick. It just gives you a bigger screen to view it. So that's it for this video. Also forgot to mention the sound thing. So if you ever want to have your sound playback or it's not playing back, just make sure that's checked as well too. Of course, you have your loop if you want to loop it through. You have your play settings right here. All that's the same. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it's very technical, but hopefully this makes more sense. If you still have any questions, just let me know down below. And that's it for this video. I'll see you guys on the next one.